What's up, YouTube? Dan the Hunter Man here, storming in to hunt some more beasties. Let me start this video off by saying that I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. My introduction to Capcom's hunting series was the weird entry of Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii. My weapon of choice was the greatsword, but I never got very far. I really started getting into the series during Monster Hunter World Iceborne, where my primary weapon is the longsword. The longsword just makes sense to me, being decently mobile, sorta flashy, and the combos and routes just make the most sense to me. Naturally, this led me to getting Generations Ultimate and Rise for my Switch, 3 Ultimate and 4 Ultimate for my 2DS, 3 Portable for the PS3, and even trying out Freedom Unite that a friend had for their PSP, and am always checking for a good sale on Wilds, although I might still wait until all the updates and the possible expansion have released for that one. The games aren't necessarily for everyone, as despite you hunting and slaying dragons of several varieties, lightning horses and monkeys, the dimension warping fish beast, giant hermit crabs, etc., the games have a bit of a grounded take to them. See, the monsters here all tie into the ecology of the world, each having places where they will make their nests, places where they will feed, places where they will sleep, and places where they will go when antagonized or injured. Monsters, other than elder dragons, can also be captured rather than simply slain, adding more options and depth to hunts. Gen 3 introduced the idea of monster stamina, where monsters will move slower and whiff attacks when tired, which is different to their health levels. World introduced us to the concept of territory disputes, where monsters will tussle with each other if their paths cross, which makes the world feel even more alive. Monsters also have breakable parts, where when enough damage is done, tails can be cut off, horns and wings broken, shells crack and expose parts, etc. And of course, there's the armor and weapons, where by hunting monsters you can turn their parts into new weapons and armor for your character. So the core loop of hunt monster to upgrade equipment in order to hunt stronger monster is the heart of this type of game and genre. The Monster Hunter series has a lot of depth, garnered from years of adjusting the formula, seeing what works, and keeping the core of the series the same. Sure, later entries have adjusted the formula up to where some things like mining and fishing have been simplified, but the games have remained amazing, challenging, and most importantly, fun. There is also the amazing social aspect, where hunts can be undertaken by up to 4 players, which can make hunts easier, but mostly more fun due to coordinating with your team. And of course, all multiplayer content is also able to be completed by solo players, usually just being a question of time, not so much as a question of skill or just by having enough players. I hope my love for the monster hunting genre of games is clear, and Capcom pretty much sets the standard for what is to be expected from this genre. So, let's get into Wild Hearts, which has some new takes on the monster hunting genre. Wild Hearts comes to us from Koei Tecmo and Omega Force, studios of note for their other foray into the monster hunting genre, the Toukiden series. The Toukiden series is a bit more in line with a hack and slash game, where most fights take place in an arena and the weapons focus on being more flashy whilst doing damage. In Tokiden, hunting the several varieties of Oni based on malevolent Japanese spirits, done under the guise of being an extreme exorcist where every enemy must be purified in order to be truly defeated. When the Oni's parts are broken, they will also reform over time in a ghostly version, so the creatures can continue to fight as normal, as opposed to Monster Hunter where damage to parts and pieces will alter the efficacy of moves, hitboxes, and other effects of attacks. So the company has a fair, but not stellar, track record. Let's see, this game was also supervised and published by... Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. Fuck! EA apparently got their grubby, greedy mitts on this game, as evidenced by the fact that there is a premium shop on the homepage. This game also feels very rushed and incomplete. Wild Hearts, even after the content updates, still only has about 24 large monsters, with several versions of what is essentially the same monster, where not much of them changes, usually just one or two new attacks and a different element. So I'm not even confident in that number. For reference, the OG Monster Hunter back on the PS2 had 17 unique large monsters, with 3 early monsters being similar, being Iodrome, Gaiadrome, and Velocidrome, and there being obvious similarities between Rathian and Rathalos, although these two fight in different ways. And the OG Tokiden had 24 large demons, although they are basically just 12 with a different version for each one. So for this game to have so few monsters feels weird, especially given how few monsters show up at any given time, and how soon you have to fight the superior version of said monster. Not to mention that the end game is basically just 4 superpowered versions of the same monsters we've already been fighting. So this game tries to set itself apart in the following ways, being that the 4 main areas are based on the 4 seasons, the weapons are meant to be flashier than just combat focused, 3 of the stronger weapons are locked to what would be high rank, monsters must be finished off with a finishing move to end the hunt, and these guys decided to take some stuff from fucking Fortnite, which is the ability to create objects and build things to make fights easier, faster, or have other utility options. These range from simple things like zip lines to move around faster, to harpoons to hold monsters. This system is inherently flawed, as simple tools like flash bombs and pitfalls are unlocked agonizingly late into the game. And worst of all, the mobility for your character is essentially neutered in order to make you rely more on the things that you can construct. The base dodge that you have once you get to the second area feels too pitiful to warrant using, as the range never feels enough to get out of range of large attacks. Not to mention, most of the large attacks have an area of effect suction effect, so you will be actively sucked into the attack while you're dodging away from it. And most of the trap style constructs don't even last 30 seconds, so they don't feel worth using other than to pile on more damage, as the constructs deal damage equivalent to the heaviest hitting attacks. Not only that, but of the 6 basic constructs, you can only ever choose 4 at any given time. So you don't have access to all of your possible constructs, meaning you can't use everything the game gives you. My initial weapon of choice was the bladed wagasa, aka the sharp umbrella. This weapon is supposed to have a gauge that levels up like the longsword from Monster Hunter, and is also a counter-focused weapon. However, the timing for the counters is obscenely tight and doesn't seem worth it, as the same move and same timing can just randomly whiff. So I got tired of this, but the weapon I wanted still wasn't available, so I switched to the katana, which has the ability to transform into a whip. This also hit home, as my main weapon for Bloodborne was the threaded cane, so this playstyle felt a bit more familiar. Once I got far enough, I could finally switch to my main weapon, the Karakuri staff, which made the most sense to me. This weapon is a trick weapon, not only for its transformations, but for its style. The trick to using this weapon is to use short combos and build attacks to increase the gauge faster than the basic combo, so that you can use the super attacks of the weapon. With this, it was just a question of getting the right upgrades. The upgrade system is a bit weird, but lenient. Most upgrades can be a pain to unlock, but they added in the ability to roll back upgrades and refund the materials at the cost of the game's money, so you can experiment more. Armor, for the most part, is static. It doesn't upgrade that much. In regards to armor, there's the base set, and then certain pieces of each set can be upgraded to either the human or monster variant, and that at certain tiers will unlock or enhance the abilities of the armor, adding skills essentially. This can be cool for the aesthetic. However, of the 5 armor pieces in a set, most of the time only 3 pieces can be upgraded to other paths. Armor in itself can't be upgraded either, so a lot of times it's best to just use a single set and upgrade to the next star tier of monster for better flat defenses. This means that certain armor is pointless to create, as the upgrades are limited or are immediately outclassed by a better monster's gear. This isn't like Monster Hunter either, where you hit certain walls and have to either tough it out and strategize, or go back and upgrade your equipment more. An example of this is like when you fight first fight the lava monkey. His gear is immediately outclassed by the bear, the porcupine, and the crow, which are all immediately unlocked after the story monkey hunt, and are significantly easier to hunt. Hell, you don't even have to beat the monkey to go hunt the crow. The monkey just sorta helps make it spawn more frequently. The world is also a bit more explorable, with collectibles to pick up scattered around each area. I'll elaborate more on this later. Returning to the hunts though, there's a few large elephants in the room. For one, multiplayer is a bit weird. It doesn't feel like the monsters actually get tougher or have higher HP in multiplayer like in Monster Hunter. And for the most part, there's no tier for hunts or partners, and later missions don't even guarantee you're going to hunt the higher difficulty monsters. Also, I have no idea if anyone can back me up on this, but like you check for Monster Hunter or even Tokiden, and it'll tell you the HP range of the monsters, and there's no information for any of the monsters in Wild Hearts here. It's like the people didn't even bother to play the game and get the data to help hunters along. Also, hunts can only have 3 players max, so the party isn't much to write about. Monsters come basically in 3 tiers: basic, high, and volatile, with deeply volatile only existing for a few monsters. So, much like Monster Hunter, but worse, where once you get to the high rank, all of the gear gets outclassed. But there really isn't much gear, if any, for deeply volatile, and beyond some trophies, I couldn't find a reason to hunt these guys. So a lack of incentives for better gear doesn't mean much to go hunt volatile versions of the same monster. Another big elephant is that despite me upgrading my gear consistently, it still felt like so many and too many of the monster's attacks were bringing me to half health or less, even after health upgrades. So it felt like everything was always either a 1 or 2 shot, and the new update monsters pretty much have consistent 1-shot moves, so I really got frustrated and didn't even bother with them. Finally, the worst thing about this game is that they tried to take the blueprint for monster behavior, but didn't implement why monsters behave the way they do. In literally every Monster Hunter game, monsters will limp, run to areas where they will go to rest, feed, or both, which ends up restoring stamina and health for the monster. Every monster has its nest. Every monster has its feeding ground, except for maybe the final boss / arena fights, which are different enough in nature and so intimidating in some cases that it's clear that the monster's looking down on you, so they would never leave to rest up or heal. In Wild Hearts, monsters will just randomly peace out at regular intervals, and when enough damage is done and they are limping, they will arbitrarily go to a random spot on the map, running away at speeds that you usually can't reach even when using movement boosting constructs. And the worst thing is when you smack them when they're already transitioning to start the encounter, half the time they run away and go to some random part of the map. This isn't like in Monster Hunter World, where sometimes the monster is transitioning, so you smack it and it quickly runs to the nearest big area to fight you. These monsters in mild farts will just be like, I know I was going to Area 2 here, but now I'm just going to go to Area 5 and make you chase me. The only monsters that I have ever seen napping are the rat enemies, and the only monster that does a turf war is the stupid lava monkey. So the only reason that monsters here run away is to make the hunt take longer. And thanks to the constructs and basic fixed health levels, going back to early hunts with later constructs can make hunts take less than a minute if done right. Also, while food can be used to gain buffs, there's no easy way to get the food. Processing it takes actual real life time. You can only carry and consume so much. The consumption goes down over time, so it's not even like every hunt you can eat what you need to, and because there's no full food inventory or storage, you have to check multiple things in multiple places to min-max the food buffs, rather than just buying or cooking something. So that's Wild Hearts, a much shittier take on the already proven hunting formula, made worse, more grindy, and simultaneously more difficult and also too easy. The game sucks with balance, sucks with quantity and quality of monsters, sucks with difficulty, sucks with weapons, especially with nearly half of them being locked to about the halfway point, sucks with the constructs, sucks as a hunting game, and sucks as an action game. Let's get into the trophies. As you can see, this game has really ticked me off, so I don't want to dwell too much on the trophies, as they range from normal participation trophies to insane tedium, with not much else in between. So let's make this easy. You'll get trophies for the story, you'll get a trophy for processing food, then completing the first quest, then for finding the first talisman, and finding a document, then for building 200 constructs, then one for reviving another hunter. Oh yeah, in online, you can straight up revive other players, which makes this game even easier. Then, One of the fusion constructs you can make is a wall, and once 20 monster attacks have been deflected, you'll get a trophy. Then, thanks to an OP player joining me, I got the trophy for beating a monster without taking a single hit. Once we take down the bear, we get another trophy and access to the other 3 weapons. Once 50 fusions have been made, you'll get a trophy. Finishing 30 monsters gets another one. Yeah, the finish animations start cool. Each weapon has a unique one, but they take forever to perform, and the command takes a long time to appear too. After assisting 5 online hunts, you'll get another one. Another one for 100 construct attacks, and once you have learned how to make 20 constructs, you'll get another trophy. Then once you've made 1,000 basic constructs, you'll get another one. It was at this point that the trophies started tracking in a weird way. Sometimes the action would be done and wouldn't pop until several hunts later, or they would pop when I started the game up the next time. After petting 30 small monsters, you can get another one. And by traveling 10,000 meters by constructs, another one. After you harvest enough small creatures and 100 squares have been nabbed, you'll get another trophy. Then, once you have maxed either the monster stat for the armor or the human stat, you'll get a trophy for each. Then I managed to put 15 dragon constructs on the hub for a trophy, flew 150 meters with a glider, successfully hunted the ice wolf, then later finished 50 monsters with a single weapon type. Then I had to complete 20 quests online, and at this point I did get the human armor path trophy. And then I got one for inflicting 20 monsters with status ailments. Yeah, for some reason the pitfall trap counts as a status ailment. Thanks to an online quest, I got the trophy for finishing off a mighty monster in less than 5 minutes. The mid-boss for high rank attacks the hub, and once that's slain, a trophy pops. I spent 30,000 of the currency at the store, which was just a waste, but I got the trophy. I maxed one of the 4 stats of my helper to the max. When solo, we're accompanied by a mini robot called a Tsukumo, which can help us hunt, but they aren't nearly as competent as a Palico from Monster Hunter, even the old gens. After doing mini missions and doing some requests for the fishermen and getting 90 seals, you'll get a trophy. Then there's a trophy for placing 30 dragon constructs in each of the areas of the main hub areas, so that's another 4. And by maxing out one of the resource pools, another one can pop. I totally forgot to dye my armor, so then once I finally dyed one, I got a trophy for that, and finally completed all the construction side quests in the hub for another one. Once you have placed all of the camps in the 4 areas and the final area, you'll get a trophy for placing all of them. This is kind of nice as you get to pick and set most of your fast travel points on maps, so that can be a little nice, but it's still a pain because of the resource management aspect. After taking down the final boss, which starts with an annoying dragon fight and then takes you into a unique shade battle that's a one-off that apparently you can't lose the shade battle. No matter how many times you die, eventually it'll just go up on you. You'll get the trophy for beating the game. Then, after fighting some of the volatile monsters, I can start taking on the final 4, and getting a trophy for taking the first deeply volatile monster down. And let me tell you, I am so fucking happy that the goddamn lava monkey or its variant is not one of the deeply volatile ones. I finally upgraded the bathhouse to the max, which also maxed my health. And then comes the final endgame grind, the most annoying part of the game. In order to upgrade your helper, you need to the max. You need to find 200 of them scattered throughout, 50 of them in each region. This is extremely tedious and sucks. And then, which is the second worst trophy in the game. Then the worst trophy is from needing to finish off 300 monsters. That took forever. And then, finally, with some help from online people, I was able to take out the last deeply volatile monster, netting me my final trophy and the platinum. Huge shout out to the other players that helped me out so much with the deeply volatile hunts. This game had such promise. Like, I fully expected that the final set of enemies was going to be the four holy beasts from Chinese mythology, being the white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and blue dragon. We almost got this, but not quite. The monsters are supposed to be an amalgamation of something in nature combined with an animal, but a lot of them end up being really generic, especially in the avian department. Most of the monsters are also very aggressive, never showing much openings. This is especially obvious with both versions of the stupid lava monkey, easily the worst fight in the game. The dodge roll is pathetic. The hunting is limp and lame. The combat focuses more on flash rather than flow. Most of the monsters I remember more from them being frustrating or annoying rather than being fun or a challenge to fight. I thought I would enjoy my time with this game, but ended up being soured to this experience. It seems like this game didn't perform well either. There's no more content updates, no DLC, and no sequel. Seeing how mishandled this game was, this feels right that the series ends here. As for the patented Dan the Ranking Man rankings, the Platinum is a 5 out of 10 due to the sheer unfairness of the later monsters, with guaranteed one-shot attacks that make the battles even more frustrating and arbitrarily difficult. As for the overall ranking, it gets a 41 out of 100, as while the game is sort of functional, it fails at what is expected from the genre, lacks memorability for fun or fair challenges, and has so much crap thrown into it from EA's mismanagement. So, until next time, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And remember, only losers won't admit the bathhouse worker is the most fuckable person in this game.